Welcome to New York's #2 sports show. The Rangers lose to the Seattle Kraken at Madison Square Garden by a score of 7-5 in a Sunday matinee game. And the Rangers do outshoot the Kraken 37-22, but just a really, really bad sequence in the latter part of the second period where the Rangers allow 2 goals in a minute and a half, a little less than that, for the Kraken to tie it up at 3 after it had been 3-1 Rangers. Then they allow a late second period goal to make it 4-3. So that was bad. And then Seattle scores in the first minute into the third, and then midway through the third period. So they had scored 5 straight goals. Rangers did rally back to cut it to 1, and then ultimately the Kraken got an empty net goal. But this is just not what you're looking for a team that needs to really just reel some wins together. And so now they've lost 7 of the last 9. And this is not a very good Seattle team, one in which the Rangers in Seattle, what was it? Not that long ago. I mean, that November 17th, 1-2-0. And the interesting thing was Jonathan Quick was in net for that one. He was as well for this one. So the story behind that is Igor Shesterkin was out. His wife is in labor, apparently. And so Jonathan Quick got the nod. Dylan Garand is the backup. And I feel as if they were. It's interesting. You could have went either way with it. I almost feel as if the way. I don't know. Did the Rangers? I'm trying to think if the Rangers had practice yesterday. I can't remember. Either way, I kind of felt as if Igor was maybe going to be the one that got this game. That's not really like the big point of this. But I'm not sure if things went off script or if they kind of knew that Quick was always going to get this game. Either way, and as it pertains, because this is the first game of a back-to-back, the Rangers play the Blackhawks tomorrow night. And so I don't think they'll go to Garan, but I think that they will either go Quick back-to-back or if somehow Igor is good to go, we'll see. But Jonathan Quick was not good. All that to say, Quick was definitely one of the reasons why they lost this game. He allowed 6 goals. Not all of them were his fault, and there were definitely a lot of defensive looseness and just like not being all the way, plugged in. But I think that Quick, there's a couple of goals we'll talk about that really were very stoppable. And it's not as if the Kraken, it wasn't like it was like chance after chance after chance. They were in some ways opportunistic, but again, this is a lot of these were grade A opportunities. So again, ultimately, you chalk it up to just not being good enough, and the lineup was the same. Berard continued. It seems like Berard's close, and I just wonder. I think that they are going to give him a chance. I wonder whose spot he takes in the lineup. I mean, there are spots to be had. It's not as if it's completely impossible. But then there's also Johnny Brodzinski too. So I think you do have a little bit of a logjam at the forward position. I want to talk about the defense though, and we can get back into Jonathan Quick, who I think he's 2 wins away from the 400 win mark, which it's a matter of when he'll get it. And Quick has honestly been very good this season, but he was not great in my opinion in that Montreal game. I think look, and he's entitled to this. I think that his game has dipped a bit, but for the defense, you really can't have Lindgren with Fox. No more Miller Trouba. We don't have to worry about that anymore. And even though Trouba was traded, and that's a good thing, there's a lot more to be fixed, like with this defense, a lot more. And I just think they should probably try Miller with Fox again. And this isn't to say that Keandre Miller is without fault. He did some good things in this game, but there were also some things that weren't great. I like that he was being a little bit more aggressive on the offensive side, and that did lead to a goal and assist for Keandre Miller. And I think that I like the Miller-Schneider pair ultimately. I think that's a pretty effective pair. However, Lindgren-Fox, it's just you got to have someone better with Fox. And look, Adam Fox has not been total top-notch as well. Right. So it's easy to kind of pile on Ryan Lindgren, and deservedly so. But Adam Fox has not been great. I just think that that's a pair that you need to move away from. I know that by default, it kind of works itself because, okay, like Miller Schneider, and then you have Jones Mancini as the third pair. If it were me, I think Miller with Fox makes the most sense. And then from there, it's one of two ways you could go. You could do Lindgren Schneider, right? And so all you're doing is swapping Miller with Lindgren, or you could potentially have a situation where you do Jones with Schneider, which we've seen before, and I've been critical of that in the past, but it's not as bad as it used to be. Then go Lindgren with Mancini. I think we'd be more likely to see the former than the latter. Either way, though, I think that they really need to evaluate that, and they've gone away from it. Like, right, like we've seen Lindgren away from Fox a bit this season, but I think they really need to tap into that big time because it's not good. There's too much dependence on that pair, and I just think it kind of sinks the ship a little bit. So again, this defense really overall needs an overhaul. Trading Trouba was step one, and Vakanainen, when he is healthy, we'll see what he brings to the table. I'm curious. I'm going to keep expectations low on that, but yeah. So for the defense in this game, I actually, you know, I think that Lindgren and Fox, I think, were two of the bigger culprits in this one. And it wasn't amazing for Miller Schneider either. They did have their mistakes as well. But again, I think, that Lindgren Fox pair just wasn't really very good. Um, and then what's bothersome on the defensive side is that frickin', the Panarin, Trocheck, Lafreniere line, it's not good defensively at all. It's too it's too lazy. And this isn't really geared at Trocheck. This is really more towards Panarin and Lafreniere. It's just standing around and not, moving to the puck and just hoping things work out. You see it too much, way too much. And yes, they are starting to get things going offensively, which is good. But it's just, I can't imagine Laviolette's thrilled by that. And look, and we see the Zibanejad line as well with goals against. I'm not going to go too hard against them, although with Chris Kreider, it's just like the invisible act just gets tired. Another game today where it's like, what was he playing? I wouldn't have known. I mean, Riley Smith, I think that he shouldn't be lumped into that. I know he was a healthy scratch and he, has flaws to his game, I guess, but I actually think Riley Smith's been halfway decent. And Zibanejad has showed more jump lately. Look, we know his situation and that contract, but it is what it is. And then the third line as well, they scored a goal. Hedl with a really nice individual effort to score a goal, but there were mistakes there too. I mean, Kakko on that sixth goal by the Kraken, I don't know what he was doing. He just got beat by Shane Wright flat out. And Will Cooley, as much as he's been really solid to start the season, he makes mistakes as well. And look, like, it's not worth it going through each individual, but it's just a loss like this is where it's like you got problems. You do, right? Because one thing that could have happened is, all right, they win the Penguin game and now they beat the Kraken and they beat the Blackhawks and they beat the Sabres. Like, all right, like now you're building on something. But no, there is a problem with this team that they are currently undergoing. Like, this is something that I don't think is going to be fixed easily. And I think that Chris Drury still needs to be ready to make moves, even if that means that you are sacrificing something in the present for a better future. Like, as much as this is a win now team, and as much as like they need to be, right? I mean, you just signed Shesterkin to a huge contract. Lafreniere not too much before that. Like, this is a win now club. However, if you have to make some trades to give younger players more of a chance, right? Like, if you were to trade Kreider and it led to other players getting opportunities, you may just have to do that. I know he's a fan favorite, and love everything he's brought to the team for a long time. But, I am certainly open. I mean, I'd be curious to see what the trade would be. And this isn't just him, but I know that he is someone that is more tradable. That's why I bring him up. There's a certain contract, as a Zibanejad, that you just couldn't trade even if you really wanted it. It would be tough to do, I think. So there's just something that's off with this team. And trading Trouba is definitely a very wise decision to make for many reasons. But to think that that's just going to solve it isn't true. It just isn't. So a lot to discuss in this game. So let's just jump right into it. So Jonathan Quick for the Rangers in net. And then Philip Grubauer for the Kraken. I didn't think he was really good either. I mean, better than Quick for sure. No doubt about that. But he really wasn't great. And the Rangers really, in some ways, they did probably deserve a better fate. Um, I guess they were good enough to win, but extremely bad enough to lose. I guess is how I would say it. I mean, you're up 3-1 at home against the Kraken with what 6-7 minutes max up in the second period. You got to find a way to win that game. And for things to just unravel the way it did is not something that we would have seen from this team last season. That's the big difference. So Rangers get out, to the early start. They take the lead, 3:38 in. It's a goal by Riley Smith. So goals in back-to-back games for him. Fifth goal of the season from Miller and Zibanejad. This was a play where, Keandre Miller just shoots the puck on net. And it was a puck that should have just been cleanly stopped by Grubauer. He lets a rebound leak behind him, and you had Riley Smith right there, and Zibanejad wasn't too far behind him. So that's good things to see that, you have players in front of the net. And I like the fact that Keandre Miller said, fuck it. You know what? It's not a high quality chance, but let's just see what happens. And it works out, and the Rangers take a 1-0 lead there. A pretty well played first period by the Rangers by and large. They limited chances from the Kraken. They were looking pretty good. Penalties in the first period. Matty Beniers slashes Will Cooley at 6:18. Ranger power play doesn't score. And then a bit of a reckless penalty by Filip Chytil, a goalie interference penalty on Chytil that results in the Rangers killing that one off. So Rangers have a 1-0 lead going into the second period, and then the second period is where this game gets drunk. And it starts out with a penalty by Ryan Lindgren. See, I hadn't even considered that in my evaluation. Ryan Lindgren elbows Matty Beniers at the 14-second mark. And that leads to a goal against. And so Mika Zibanejad breaks his stick. So it's kind of like a 5-on-3.5, really. 5-on-3 even. And Oliver Bjorkstrand scores his 8th goal of the season. Power play goal from Stevenson and Beniers. Just an easy play where Zibanejad's kind of not useful. And just a quick passing play. And nothing the Quick could do on that one. Not at all. So that ties up at 1. But here was a good sign. And something that I brought up in the last episode. A quick response from the Rangers. A little more than a minute later, Filip Chytil with a very nice individual effort where he makes good plays in the defensive zone, but the line as a whole makes some pretty good passing to the point where Chytil comes in with speed and scores his 5th goal of the season from Kakko and Cooley at 2:50 to give the Rangers a 2-1 lead. Then at 4:31, Brandon Montour cross-checks Artemi Panarin, and the Rangers do score on the power play. So this would actually be the last penalty of the game. Two penalties each, one in the first period for each, and a power play goal for the Kraken, and now a power play goal for the Rangers where Vincent Trocheck, who he's been scoring some goals lately, he gets his 8th goal of the season from Adam Fox. So Trocheck wins the faceoff. Fox takes a wrist shot that goes wide. Kreider misses the rebound off the boards, but it finds Vincent Trocheck, and with Grubauer kind of out of position, Trocheck just puts it into the open net. And so it gives Rangers a 3-1 lead. Then, the Rangers had that 3-1 lead for a while, and they had chances to make it 4-1. Panarin had a really good opportunity. That's the unfortunate thing. If they make this 4-1, the whole thing could be different. And at that point, the Kraken may have just taken the total wind out of their sails. But in fact, what happens is the Kraken at 14:06 cut it to 3-2. Brandon Tanev scores his 7th goal of the season from Stevens and Cartier. So Tanev, this was a good cycle, and Tanev beats Ryan Lindgren. So Fox was involved, Zibanejad, but Lindgren to me is the one that's most at fault. And again, this is not a goal where I'm going to blame Jonathan Quick. But yeah, just too easy. And again, I don't like seeing goals like that where they're just moving it around. And Lindgren, I don't even know if he fell asleep or he was just slow. I mean, just slow to it. And Tanev beats him and buries it to make it 3-2. And then 1 minute and 28 seconds after that, it would be Eli Tolvanen scoring his 8th goal of the season from Bjorkstrand and Shane Wright. So this was a play where it was the Panarin line that was on, another cycling type of play. I wish that Panarin was moving his feet a little bit more, but this was one that I think Quick wants to have back. It was a shot by Tolvanen. I think Keandre Miller might have even might have lost his stick at one point as well. And so there's frustrating things like that. But Tolvanen is able to score that goal on a slap shot. But again, it's one that I think goes off Quick's mask, stoppable for sure. That makes it 3-3, and then to really make it all that much worse, right? Because maybe if it's tied going to the third, maybe you're able to kind of settle it down and figure it out. But Bjorkstrand scores again, and it was a great night for Bjorkstrand. 2 goals, 2 assists for him. This was his second goal of the game, 9th of the season from Montour and Tolvanen, and 19:24 of the second. A lost faceoff by Trocheck, and just a shot from the point by Montour, and a good job by Bjorkstrand to get the deflection. And so, yeah, just not great by the Rangers there. And it was kind of like a domino effect, and momentum was really bad at that point. So now they are down 4-3 going into the third. And then a minute in, we see this way too often where they're giving up these goals right away. And a minute in, it's Vince Dunn scoring his third goal of the season from Burakovsky and Stevenson. Now, Braden Schneider might have screened Quick, but again, this is one that I think Quick deserves some blame for as well. Again, he may not have seen it then for that. That does kind of change it. But this was one where, Miller can't quite keep the puck. Again, Miller does turn the puck over a lot. It wasn't like a blatant turnover, but he just lost possession of it. And then you have like Lafreniere. Like they were trying to cheat for offense, and I feel like Lafreniere was quick to move up the ice. And I think that ultimately it results in the Rangers giving up another goal. Like there's too many defensive zone breakdowns. But again, Quick maybe could have stopped this. That makes it 5-3. Then Shane Wright scores to make it 6-3. 7th goal of the season from Tolvanen and Bjorkstrand. And this is a play where flat out he just beats Kakko. It was a rush chance that, and Kakko is normally pretty dependable with that. Shane Wright is the one that benefits from that. And I think that Kakko actually might have been set out a shift after this. I noticed he didn't stay that way. He was back out there, but I think Panarin, that might have been as a result of Laviolette being upset about that play. Could be wrong, but something I noticed. And so that makes it 6-3. And the Rangers do make things a little bit interesting at 12:27. So only a minute and 14 seconds after that goal, Keandre Miller scores his second goal of the season, assisted by Panarin and Fox. And so this, not a good goal by Grubauer at a bad angle. Miller just takes a shot from the corner and it goes in. And then 2 minutes and 30 seconds after that, it was Alexis Lafreniere scoring his 9th goal of the season from Trocheck and Panarin. So a nice passing play and, not great defense by the Kraken, and Lafreniere with a pretty easy goal. Nice pass by Trocheck to make it 6-5. So about 5 minutes left. Rangers had a chance to maybe do something. And I've noticed with Laviolette and with a lot of coaches, Rangers pulled the goalie a little bit too soon. Now, sometimes I think that makes sense. Like when you're not getting anything going at all, and it's like you just need to maybe, have a spark and create some offense. I felt like this was a little bit premature. And so I believe it was maybe off of a face-off situation, and blame kind of goes all the way around. Trocheck, I feel like, was the one that kind of lost the puck and could have been a little bit harder with it. Kreider before him. Panarin couldn't keep it in. I just feel like there could have been a little bit better effort all the way around in terms of making sure that the Kraken didn't have an easy chance to score a goal. And so Anthony Yanni Gord, his 5th goal of the season from Beniers and Alexiak, makes it 7-5, and that is your final score. And, just more disappointment from the Rangers. And I'll tell you this, like they got to beat the Blackhawks tomorrow night. Then, you lose that game. It's like, that's pretty pathetic. I mean, Chicago is one of the worst teams in the league. You're coming off of this bad loss to the Kraken. I don't care that it's a back-to-back. Rangers got to play much better hockey. We'll see who's in that. I don't know. Really don't. With I guess if I had to, with Igor's wife, being in labor, I would think just a day later, it would probably be Quick again, but I don't want to speculate on that. Either way, doesn't matter who's in net. Rangers got to find a way to win that game. And so now the Rangers record drops to 14-11-1. So, yeah, that's just the type of season that it is at the moment, where the Rangers are going to be kind of fighting for, one of those final playoff spots. I know there's a lot of time to go. You're less than a third of the way through the season, but it just has that feeling to it. So, yep, Rangers lose to the Seattle Kraken by a score of 7-5. Things kind of unravel on them late in the second period and into the third period, and they are unable to make that late comeback. They lose Now it's a back-to-back, and we'll see what happens as the Chicago Blackhawks come to Madison Square Garden tomorrow night.